Unspoken.
Welcome to another episode. This is season 1, episode 2. And I debated on what I wanted us to get into, but I think I decided to go with one of the most valuable, and I mean most valuable, top 3 lessons that I've ever had in basketball. And that is about the fingertips. So I was coached by a legendary coach in high school who had coached thousands of players. Like I said, his name was retired on the basketball court. And I had met him at a very pivotal time in my basketball journey. I probably was around 10 or 11 years old. All I knew was street ball. Didn't have much actual like in-game playing experience. A coach saw something in me and invited me to go to this basketball camp to a school, high school, well-known high school in DC that I eventually ended up attending. All right. And so I remember one of our first lessons, the coach came out, he had slick back hair and a ball spot up top, and he came in and you could tell he used to play basketball because he's always rubbing his hands together, always slicking his head back. He had that old school basketball player mentality. He was a tall guy. And he came out and he said, if there's one thing that I can teach you that will stick with you, is to use your fingertips. And he grabbed the ball and he just gripped it tight. And he showed how when he gripped the ball, it wasn't touching his palm. It was just his fingertips. And he says everything should start and end in this game with your fingertips. All right. Now, when you first catch the ball should always just be in this, it should always touch this region of your hand. But when you're shooting, the last point of release should be right at the tip of your fingertips. And it's important to work this, and your fingers are muscles. Right? So your whole finger, let me get the laser, your whole finger is a muscle, and they all work in coordination, driving force up to release up your fingertips. You see, a lot of people take this part of the hand for granted, but what really happens is this is a powerhouse coming up through your body and releasing through your fingertips. So if you strengthen your fingertips, you can be a lot more effective in your control of the ball, your release, how you catch it, and most importantly, your dribble. All right. And later in this session, I'll give you a couple drills that I used over time that I found was really successful in improving my dribble and my shot. So what I first want to give this image out the way is for you to really appreciate your fingers and how important they are in the game of basketball. There is no basketball player who plays D1 or at a high level who does not have strong fingers. And I will go so far to say that this is in any sport. So for my baseball players, you'll find that baseball players are typically really good shooters or have really good control of the ball because they're constantly squeezing the baseball. When you're a pitcher, you played a little bit of baseball growing up, it's important to have a tight grip on that ball. They even put stuff on their fingers. You see when LeBron James comes on the court, before he gets on the court, he rubs that white powder. And so that improves his grip. Not so that the ball is tighter on his palm, but gets tighter on his fingertips. All right? It's one of the most unique things of your body, your fingertips, and it's also happens to be one of the most important tools you can use in becoming a better player. All right, so I wanted to go then to the next slide. And I just wanted to show a couple examples. One second. Show you a couple examples of what that looks like. Okay? And I try to keep my slides as simple as possible. I want you to focus on what I'm saying. Take notes if you have to. But I want you to key in on these pictures. So let's first start with the shooter here. If you look closely at this shooter, you'll notice that there's a space between the palm and the ball. I had a basketball coach that told us pause at the top of our release, and he would take his index finger, and make sure that was clear of the palm. All right. What this does, it allows you to have a quicker release and more control of the ball as you release high. All right. And we'll get into more specific about the shooting JJ Redick is one of my favorite shooters. Ray Allen as well, to watch, because the fundamentals are so clean. And the reason why it's important also to get your fingertips, and a lot of coaches miss this point, is that it actually provides a top spin on the ball that makes your shot softer when shooting on the rim. So you'll see some people who have decent shots, but if they shoot and that ball is in the palm and it doesn't release off of the tip of your fingertips, then it won't have as tight of a spin. Now, as a shooter, I'm not concerned about the spin being straight. I'm not just concerned about the spin being slanted. You know, so Eric Gordon releases the ball. His ball has a bit of an awkward slant, but it comes off the fingertips. And that means what? It comes off soft. If you release high and you allow the ball to work its way up to your fingertips, so we're starting here, and then it slowly rises up to your fingertips. As you begin to pull up into the release motion, it eventually comes off your fingertips of the ball. Now, for my ball handlers, this is the ideal look for when you're handling the ball. The fingers should be spread apart wide. Remember, spread your fingers apart as wide as you can, and dribble with the tips of your fingers. This gives you a quicker dribble. You're more reactive, and you actually have better control of the ball. Ball handlers who dribble the ball and it always touches their palm are easy to pick. Now, there are moves where they say, like Allen Iverson say, he's palming the ball. He's actually not palming the ball. He's controlling it with his fingertips. His fingers are so strong that they can get a tight grip on the ball and palm it. So if you know anyone who could palm a basketball, I want you to ask them to palm it for you. You'll see when they palm it that the ball doesn't touch their palm. Again, you can put your index finger in there and slide it clean across their palm, right? The ball never touches this area of your hand. Think of this as the powerhouse, the conduit for force that then provides strength to your fingers for you then to be able to release from the tip of your fingertips. And again, we're going to go into some drills so you can really get the feel for that. My ball handlers, be aware of this. This is something that you don't practice. Some coaches on lower levels, yes, you will practice on your ball handling in practice, but in order to get really good at this, you have to practice this alone or by yourself. I really don't care what dribbling move you do. Make sure that ball is touching your fingertips. And if you have to exaggerate and really stick your palm out to make sure it just touches your fingertips, do that as well. Okay? You want that ball in your fingertips. It will have you crossing people up in no time. Trust me. All right, so now we're going to go to the next slide. And remember, this is a slide that we dealt with first episode. And so for this slide, I want you to picture yourself in the gym by yourself. This is our moment where we lock in. This is a part of the presentation where I want you to lock in and go into specific things you can do by yourself that will help you work on what the particular topic is for this episode. All right. So for my shooters, the reason why you need to start shooting close is so that you can master that fingertip release. I was at a basketball camp in Duke, and a well-known basketball player came, and he showed us a drill that he did. He made one shot, and he took a step back. Same thing I told you in the last lesson. And he made one shot all the way back until he got to half court. He did not miss one shot while he was there. And that was the second time that I'd heard the fingertip principle expressed again. But the only way to get good at it, if you're a shooter, is for you to start close. You want to know why? Because it doesn't require as much strength to get the ball up and straight. So you can focus more on the spin of the ball and the softness of your release and also your form, right? A lot of shooters make a mistake of starting out here, and that takes a lot of power from your legs, and it throws off your shot. Or some people start shooting too young, and they're not instructed to improve their form as they get bigger. So you'll see them kind of catapult themselves out, trying to get that ball to the rim. But no matter how old or tall you are, you need to start shooting from this position first to understand that fingertip principle. The last thing the ball should touch when it's leaving your hands is your fingertips. If you have someone in the gym, practice passing the ball, and you want to know how to make sure, and I'll give another lesson on passing. You're supposed to step through with the passing. So I'm acting as though you already know how to do the passing. But even if you don't know how to do it, the fingertip principle still remains. When you're passing with your friend, there should be a spin on the ball. And if you keep that spin, then that means that you got your fingertips in the right position. Spread your hands wide and pass the ball from your fingertips. All right. So next time you're in the gym, if there are people in the gym, you can do a crab dribble along the sides, work on your fingertips. They're really the dribbling skills you can work anywhere. That's why when I say if you're alone in the gym, you need to work on your shots. And it doesn't mean just standing, being a catch and shoot player. If you're a player who plays off the dribble, do a little dribble. Dribble a little bit before you take the shot. Right? Work on the crossover. But for most players, for all players actually, start in here. All right. When Ray Allen, when the greatest shooters out there start their warm up, they start inside because you want to get that form together. You want to make sure that you're catching the ball off your fingertips and you're releasing where the tip of your fingertips is the last thing that touches the ball. All right. And let me go back to the first slide real quick. I want to really push this point home. The best ball handlers and the best dribblers, the ball never touches anywhere below this part of their hand. All right, let me show you again. Actually, let's make it a permanent one and we'll make it red. This part of their hand. This is the action zone. When you're catching the ball, it should only touch this region of your hand. And when you release, the last thing should be the tip of your fingertips. Believe it or not, this gives you great control of the ball. It's going to force you to have a higher release. And if you have a higher release, your shot's harder to block. And you have more control over the tip of your finger. Now, if you want to get to which finger is most important in the release of the shot, I'll go into more detail with that. But typically the last two fingers that should touch the ball when you're dribbling, passing, or shooting will be these three fingers. And of course, the middle finger will be the most important. But if you work on your follow through, you flick that wrist when you're passing, shooting, or dribbling, you won't have to worry about focusing on your middle finger being the last one to touch it. It'll just be a natural reaction for you. Okay? So if you're taking anything from this lesson, this is the reason of your hand that should touch the ball. For anybody that plays any sport, whether it's baseball, football, basketball, anything with the ball, anything with a spherical object, a 360 spherical object, you get more spin, better control, more power on the ball if you use your fingertips. All right. A lot of players have come to me, and that's the first thing I have to correct is for them to use their fingertips. All right. So now how can we work on that? Now I'm gonna give you a little cheat code. I was debating on sharing this with you. I typically, keep this in the vault, but I decided to go ahead and let share it. And that is this right here, this GIF. All right. And what you see here is a finger strengthening drill. Now, a lot of kids will play with it. They'll be fidgeting in class, but it's one that you can do no matter where you are. Now, as a coach, I'm sympathetic to teachers. Don't make it too advanced, all right? If you can't do this without throwing the pen across the classroom or, dropping it on the ground, don't do it. Just a simple one where you can just hold the pen between your middle finger and index and flick it back and forth is strengthening your fingers, all right? So your fingers are a muscle. The point of this drill is to improve muscle coordination with your fingers. All right. And what I also like about this drill is that it teaches you to keep your thumb out so it doesn't affect your shot. And we'll go into that more with the shooting drill. All right. So the supporting drill, if you're working on it, I encourage you to focus on the four fingers, specifically with the middle finger doing the most work. And if you keep doing it, you keep working on it, you'll realize your fingers are getting stronger because guess what? Your fingers will get a little bit sore, they get a little bit tired. And also it helps with your coordination. So remember, thinking about your anatomy, in order to get your fingers to move, you have to order them through your thoughts. So it means there's an electric signal that goes from your brain to your fingers to get them to move. If you train those connections, they become stronger and faster. So you're not only strengthening your strength of your fingers, you're not only improving the strength of your fingers, you're also improving your coordination, and you're also making your brain, the connection to your brain stronger. I can imagine how strong Stephen Curry's brain is to his fingers, right? He's probably done a million finger drills. His hands are extremely strong. You can look at him warm up and you can tell how strong he is. He's barely jumping on the shot because his fingers are strong. All right. So for my kids in school, a little cheat note: if you want to improve your ball handling, and of course you can't dribble in class, and you also want to focus, find a pin drill you can work on, and also help you sit still in class as well, hopefully. All right. Now remember, don't do anything too extra. If you want to do the fancy stuff like you see in this gift here, do it at home, master it, and then you can try it in the classroom. I don't want you guys getting in trouble. Do something basic. Just keep a pen in your hand, keep it moving around, all right? And just do that same action over and over again, and you'll notice an improvement. Feel free to switch it back and forth. It will be harder on your offhand, but hey, that's the benefit. That's why we work on it. So maybe practice on your main hand in classroom, and then do more practice with your offhand with the pen, and then you can eventually get good with both hands. All right. So that's one. The next one is dribbling with your fingertips close to the ground. So this is a Kyrie Irving special here. He works really hard on his ball handling, and this is one that he did all the time. It's kind of, some coaches call it play the piano. I like that one because it's a little bit, it makes sense to me. All right, so you're going to dribble with each individual finger, one at a time, close to the ground. Now I want you to bend your knees and then just tap it. You're going to have a hard time controlling the ball at first, but as you continue to work on it, you'll get stronger. And again, a fingertip drill, you're going to know it's working when your fingers feel a little bit tired, okay, or feel a little bit tight. Now remember, any pain is weakness leaving your body, right? So we want to work on our fingertips. You start with the thumb, index, middle, ring, pinky. Pinky, ring, middle, index, thumb. Back and forth, switching hands close to the ground. And then as your fingers get stronger, you go higher up. Now, this is a hard drill for beginning ball handlers, okay? So you want to try it home, and you got to stay focused. Remember, if you're struggling with it, that's a good thing. That means it's something that you're weak at, that you're getting stronger at. I have one of my players who's good at most things, and so whenever I find a drill that he's not strong at, I get excited. He gets frustrated, but I tell him that's a good thing. You want to find things you're bad at and improve on them, because that means you were weak with them in the first place. If footwork is something you're weak at, work on your footwork. Attack those weaknesses now while you're a younger player, and then they won't be as big as when you get older. There's a lot of players who get to the next level and they don't end up realizing their potential or their dream because they didn't work on things they were weak at. They were always the biggest player, so they only worked on big man drills. They were always the smallest guy, so they only worked on small drills, and then or ball handling. They never worked on finishing a layup. And if you don't have that complete package, it will set you back. But if you work on all your weaknesses across the board, and some of them you will be better at, that's natural. Some things you'll be better at, but as long as there's a baseline that you have, you can always lift up a skill without starting from ground zero. Because I can't play you if you're at ground zero. If you're a big man who has never been coached to work on your ball handling at all, I can't use you if it's time to use the ball handling. There's not enough time. You need to have a certain baseline of ball handling already in you. Okay, and another drill for anybody who's played on the team, this is a very common drill. It's called ball taps. All right, and this is also another good drill. It's where you toss the ball back and forth. Your hands are close together, like in this picture. Keep your hands close together, and you only allow the ball to touch your fingertips. All right. The thumb gets a little bit of work on this drill, but it's really about the 4 top fingers. All right, and you start at the top of your head. You work your way down to about chest level, and then you work your way back up at the top. And remember, no matter if you want to just do in front of the chest or you want to just do on top of the head, I don't really care. I like the moving of it because it does make it more challenging for your fingers. But the important thing is to make sure that the ball does not touch your palms, okay? The ball should not touch your palms. Okay, and that's what we have for fingertips. Please put your comments and questions down in the comment section and let me know what you think. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Coach X is here for you. We're going to keep working. We're going to keep pushing. Practice these on the court I don't want to just be wasting my air here. These are drills that I've seen work. Fingertips is one of the most important lessons I had to learn. It made me an incredible shooter, and I can only imagine how good it'll make you if you focus on it. All right. So remember, lock in, focus, and compete.
People who reacted.